Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Jersey Shore Pondscapes videos. Thanks for checking out the video today. My name is Chris. If you are looking to build a brand new pond, or you have a pond and you're looking to make it bigger, this video is going to be very helpful for you. We're going to be looking at basically what size pond should we build. Some advantages and disadvantages of having a smaller pond, some advantages and disadvantages of a bigger pond, and basically what size pond do I find to be the most successful, for the average person. I've been in building ponds professionally for over 25 years now, so I have a lot of experience in kind of what works and what doesn't. So I'm going to try to share that with you today and hopefully help you out, in your own little endeavors here. Before we get started, I just would like to say I have a new website, www.pondscapesandmore.com, all one word. Please check it out. There's a ton of videos in there. I've done a bunch of pictures of ponds. I have all kinds of product information, articles, reviews. You can buy products in there, and these are all products that I have used for years and I have experience with and I really like, okay? I have affiliate links there for you for all that, so if there's anything like that that you're interested in, I'd really appreciate the support and use those affiliate links to purchase your products. It just helps keep me going here, and it's a lot of work doing this, so I really appreciate having some support in return. I also have a whole bunch of information on attracting and feeding wild birds in there as well. All right, so again, thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel. I have a ton of videos here with a whole bunch of information for you guys that hopefully you'll find something that can really help you out and answer some questions for you. All right, so let's get on with today's video. Basically, what size pond should I build? All right, so quite often one of the most common things that I hear day in and day out is I should have made it bigger. I should have made my pond bigger. We all kind of fall into this little trap, and it's a very common mentality to think that, I'd like to build a pond, I've never done it before, I just want to start with something small, all right? And that makes sense, okay? It does make sense. However, the pond hobby is very addicting, okay? It becomes very addictive. Most people start off with that little small pond, and within a short period of time, a year or two, they're saying, I should have made it bigger. I wish I made it bigger, okay? They want a bigger pond. So that's where I usually get the phone calls, okay? I have this pond, I love it, I want to make it bigger. My fish are growing, my plants are growing, okay? It's quite often very easy for people to go to the local garden center or a local, Home Depot or, a pond shop or even aquarium store sometimes. They sell these little pond kits, and it's basically usually a piece of liner. Sometimes it'll include like a plastic or fiberglass preformed shell, okay? But it's usually a piece of liner with maybe a piece of underlay fabric and a small submersible pump, a small little filter, and the tubing to connect it all right? And it's all in one kit. And it makes it easy, and people say, oh, this is really easy, like I've always wanted a pond, like I can do this, well, it's not the best idea, all right? These little pond kits are basically thrown together to basically get you started, all right? It's not the best pumps. It's not the best filters. It's not, PVC plumbing. It's little rubber garden hose tubing or something, okay? Sure, it'll get you started and it'll do its thing, all right? However, in time, the more fish, the more plants and stuff you get, problems start to arise, okay? But it's a starting point, and it helps you to learn, right, about how that pond functions and what may work and what might not work. You know, you'll learn about some of the plants, you'll learn about feeding their fish, you'll learn about the whole little system. But it typically is not something that's going to last long. Now, the other problem with that is when you do decide to go to build a pond that's bigger, 75 to 80% of all the money you spent in that pond, if not all of it, is wasted. Because you're not going to be able to use that little submersible pump, that little filter, you know, the rubber tubing, the piece of liner in your new pond. All right, we're going to go bigger. We're going to need bigger equipment. The equipment is the heart of the system, okay? That's what's going to keep everything healthy and happy, and, you know, the water clear and everything else. So we need to make sure we have a really nice filter system on that new pond to support it, okay? And that stuff that you bought in that little kit is not going to do that, all right? The other thing is that's not included with those kits is like rock. All right, if you want to put rock around the pond, or you want a waterfall, maybe you want to build a waterfall out of rock, great. Maybe you say, no, I don't know if I can do that. I would rather just, you know, buy this preformed little waterfall thing and stick it on the edge of the pond. Okay, but it's just additional costs to that little pond kit, okay? But it's something to consider, okay? Just something to think about with buying those pond kits. I've had clients call me in the past and say, you know, oh, I just bought a little pond kit from, you know, so-and-so, and do you install them? And, you know, my first thought is, you know, do you still have the receipt? Because it's really just not worth it to me, all right? If you're going to build it right, all right? Build it right. Build it with nice equipment, save your money, do it once, do it right, okay? You know, like I said, there's little pond kits, and when you decide to go bigger, all that stuff that you bought is going to go right in the garbage, because you're not going to be able to use it for a bigger pond. So, typically, all right, I mean, I've been building ponds for over 25 years now. Typically what I found to be a really nice pond size to start with, all right, is something in the neighborhood of 8 by 12, 10 by 15, you know, 9 by 13, 9 by 14, something in that neighborhood, all right? That seems to be a really nice sweet spot to build a pond and be successful with it. Now, the reason why I like this size is because it's big enough to allow a nice number of fish and a nice number of plants to grow, not overgrow the pond, and look really nice, okay? And it's a size pond that I build very commonly, and most people who have these ponds will have that size pond for years and years and years and years without any problems, okay? Only sometimes when I have, you know, some clients that really get into the hobby and really start to love things and then really want to make the pond bigger, okay? So maybe go from a 9 by 14 pond, and then they say, you know what, I want to blow this, I want a big pond, 25 by 30, or 20 by 25, or 20 by 30, or something like that, okay? You know, that happens too. Okay, but typically for, you know, my average customer, my average homeowner, when I go over there to build a pond, I mean, that's a nice size. It may sound big at first, okay? Something even 10 by 15, okay, may sound, oh my God, I don't know if I want to go that big. However, when you get out in your yard and you lay a rope out, right, or I can use a garden hose, I use extension cords, and I lay out the size and shape on the ground, and when you measure it out, it seems like, oh my gosh, like this is pretty big. Once you dig the hole You put your rocks around it. You put your plants around it. You put your plants in the pond. You start making it a complete pond. It really doesn't look as big. Okay, it really doesn't look as big. The other thing is, depending on how far it is away from your home, okay, or maybe off a patio or something. And what I'm saying is the perspective of what it looks like from a distance away, okay? If your, family room window is 50 feet away from where you're putting your pond, if you put in a small pond, that little pond is going to look like a little puddle out there. All right? Something 10 by 14, 9 by 15, something like that is actually, you're going to see water surface, okay? You're going to see a pond, okay? It'll look better from a distance away. All right. Just a point that the further away your pond is from wherever you may viewing from your home, okay, the smaller it is, the further away it is, it's going to look smaller and smaller and smaller, like a little puddle. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to look out of your kitchen window and see this thing 100 feet away and say, wow, that looks awesome. It's going to look like a little puddle out there. All right, so keep that in mind too. Now, of course, ultimately, okay, what size pond should I build is going to be based on your budget, right? Your budget and the space that you have to build the pond in. That's ultimately what's going to dictate, what size pond you can build and afford. All right, but if you're able to afford something and you have the space, that 8 by 12 to 10 by 15 is a nice sweet spot, okay? Now, keep in mind that it's not only the surface area of the pond that's important, it's the depth, all right? Depth adds volume, and the volume of water is really, really important. You can have a pond that's 10 by 10, okay, and let's just say, for argument's sake, it's 2 feet deep, it's 1,000 gallons, okay? Well, if you now make that pond 4 feet deep, it's now 2,000 gallons. It's double the amount of water, but the pond is no bigger. It's still 10 by 10, okay? So keep that in mind, that your depth adds volume. So you can go to a store and say, yeah, I have a pond, it's 10 foot by 10 foot, what size filter do I need? And the guy will say, yeah, 10 by 10, yeah, you can use this filter here. Well, 10 by 10, 18 inches deep with, 12 little goldfish in it is going to be different than 10 by 10, 5 feet deep, and, 12 big koi in it. All right? Keep that in mind, okay? Water volume, all right, is going to increase the size of the pump and the filter that you're going to need to support it and keep it clean and filtered, all right? So, the volume adds up quick when you go depth, okay? But depth is great, okay? Typically for a water garden, right, with some goldfish and stuff in it like that, in our area, zone 7, 2 foot, 2.5 foot is fine. Okay, we're good with that. A minimum of 2 feet, I would say. But if you go 2.5 foot, you can go 3 foot is great too. Keep in mind that some water lilies at 3 feet down might be a little deep. At 2 foot down, that's perfect. Okay, so whether you're building shelves or ledges, whatever, just keep that in mind. For koi, we're going a minimum of 3 feet. Okay, a minimum of 3 feet. If I know the client wants to have a number of large koi, yeah, we're going deeper. I may build my pond 3 feet, but then I use 4-inch bottom drains in all my ponds. They're gravity-fed filter systems. I have videos on all that stuff too you might want to check out. But it might be 3 foot at the edges, but then it goes down to my bottom drains, be 3.5 to 4 foot deep. Okay. Koi ponds can go 3 to 5, 6 feet deep, okay, no problem, all right? just keep in mind the volume, okay, and how much water you're going to have in your pond and what size pump and filter you need. Now, length times width times depth times 7.5 will give you a rough estimate of the gallons you have in a pond. Now, if you're building a perfectly square pond with perfectly straight walls, that's where this formula works. Typically, we're not doing that, right? Typically, we're building a free-formed, curved, kind of rounded kind of thing. And the walls may have some taper to it, okay? So generally, what I tend to do is take that formula, length times width times depth times 7.5. I come up with my number, and then I can subtract anywhere from 25 to like 40% off of that to give my actual water volume, okay, to take in account curves, the rounded shape of the pond, shelves in the pond, all kinds of stuff like that, okay? So it just kind of have to think about it a little bit, you know, how much you know, less water we may actually have in that pond due to, you know, slopes in the walls, shelves, shape, okay, all that. But that'll give you a rough idea. All right. Now, another thing to keep in mind, small ponds, okay, with small volumes of water can fluctuate in water chemistry a lot faster than a pond with a large volume of water. All right. So what do I mean? Let's imagine this. We have a gallon jug of water on our patio on a hot summer day. And then we have a big garbage pail with, you know, 75, 70, 50, 70, whatever, 50 gallons of water in it right next to it on that patio, okay? I guarantee you that that little gallon jug of water is gonna heat up and get hotter, much faster than that 50-gallon garbage pail of water would, okay? The smaller the pond, the smaller the volume of water, the more the water chemistry in it can fluctuate. The more ammonia levels, and quicker ammonia levels can build up. The quicker pH can fluctuate, okay? So on and so forth. The larger the volume, the slower this stuff occurs, okay? Now, not to say that it'll, you know, your pH in a large pond will never go up to the height of a small pond. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the changes in your water chemistry fluctuate much slower in a larger volume of water than in a smaller volume of water, okay? So sometimes it's kind of easier to take control of a larger pond, because as those water chemistry starts to change, you can take appropriate actions before it gets really bad. In a smaller volume of water, sometimes, man, it can happen overnight, okay? And then it's too late. All right, so things, okay, can fluctuate different. Now, here's the flip side of that, okay? Larger volumes of water are more stable. However, when things go wrong in a larger volume of water, it's going to cost us more, all right, to treat than in a small pond, okay? So basically, you know, a small pond, your pH goes off, you need to adjust it, man. You can buy a little bottle of, you know, the pH up or pH down, or you can use, you know, vinegar or baking soda, and you can adjust that water fairly simple, very quick, and fairly cheap. Maybe, you know, one bottle of pH down can adjust that pH, no problem, and you're done, and you probably even have extra. In a larger pond, that one bottle ain't gonna go so far, right? You might need 4 or 5 bottles, okay? So it's just something to keep in mind as well, all right? Just a real quick example of water chemistry in larger bodies of water, okay? Coral reefs, Okay, coral reefs and corals, let's say in the aquarium trade, right? You have a nice saltwater aquarium in your home and you have what's called a reef tank. You're putting in, you know, all these beautiful soft corals and hard corals and all this stuff. They are very susceptible to water changes. I'm sorry, the water quality, okay? And we have to do water changes quite often on these systems to really keep that water quality at its highest, you know, peak, best point, to keep these corals alive, okay? And keep them healthy. In a small aquarium, okay? Out in the ocean, where there's billions and billions of gallons of water, okay, that water chemistry is very stable, all right, and the corals can thrive. However, there are conditions now, right, with the ozone levels and all this stuff, that we're having problems with coral reefs. But the point is, okay, those corals growing out on a natural reef in the ocean are in a much more stable environment and grow much healthier than they can sometimes in a little aquarium when we bring them into our homes. Okay, so that's that. All right, so there's some ideas. So smaller ponds, okay, are easy to maintain. Okay, they're easy to fix things, but they can be very unstable. All right. Again, filtration is so important, okay? So whether you have a small pond, if your budget only allows you to have a small little pond, great, but don't skip on the filtration. Make that small pond as healthy and function at its peak best, you know, that you possibly can, all right? That's going to determine the success of your system. So whether it's a small pond, a large pond, the filtration is your life support, all right? Don't skimp on that, all right? If you're building a pond, and you know, a nice big one, something large, make sure those filters can handle it, all right? If it can't, you're going to end up with problems. You're going to end up with water quality problems. You're going to end up with, you know, dirty, stinky, green pea soup water, all right? So yeah, all right, so I hope that helped you out, okay? You know, give you some ideas, food for thought. Now, one other thing, all right, building a pond around a structure. You have this idea, I want to build a pond and I'd love to have a patio area next to it. I'd love to build a gazebo next to my pond, all right? How about this? I want a bridge over my pond, all right? That really is going to also dictate on how big that pond should be, all right? Typically, okay? Now, here's my thing with bridges, okay? Decks, bridges, whatever, but bridges. A lot of people love that attraction of having a bridge. I want a bridge over my pond. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, if your pond is 8 by 10, and you're putting a bridge over it, you're covering half the pond, all right? I don't like it. The bridge is gonna not only cover a good portion of your pond, it's also gonna block the view of the rest of it from different, you know, parts of your yard, all right? To have a bridge, I think, I need a big enough pond that bridge, that gazebo, that patio, okay, is not going to be the main feature, all right? I don't want a nice big bridge with a little crappy pond underneath it. I don't want a beautiful patio with a table set and umbrella with this little dinky puddle of a pond next to it. Or a gazebo that's, you know, twice the size of the pond. It doesn't fit. All right, if I'm going to put a gazebo around my pond or a patio next to my pond, I want my pond to be the main feature. I want that pond to be the center point that I build things around, okay? To me, the opposite just doesn't work. I don't want to have a bridge with a little pond underneath it. I don't want to have a patio with a little pond. I want to build a pond with a nice patio. Okay, you see my point? Okay, and the other thing is with bridges. All right, a lot of clients want a bridge. Okay, but here's the thing: we have to have, at least in my eyes, we have to have a destination on the other side of that bridge. If you're going to put that bridge over the pond, if we're going to be crossing over that pond, where are we going with it? Where am I going? So many times I see a bridge over a pond with a fence behind it. Okay? What? No, why? The bridge, all right, maybe the bridge is providing a little cover, a little shelter for the fish. Absolutely, that's a good idea, okay? But you're putting in a bridge to walk over and you're walking into a fence. I don't see it. Make a destination on the other side. Let's cross over this pond and go someplace. Go to a patio, go to a table and chairs, go out to your lawn, go somewhere, okay? All right? So a lot of times, rather than a bridge, I prefer a deck. A nice deck over the pond, okay, over part of a pond, over the front of a pond. That will bring you out over the water, where you can be surrounded by your fish and your water and feel like you're out and being a part of the pond. To me, I like that a lot more than a bridge going over to nowhere. All right, and a bridge with big railings that are going to block your view of the waterfall. You don't want to be walking over a bridge and turn and look and your waterfall's right here, and then on this side of the bridge, you have 10 feet of water, and this side of the bridge you have 3 feet of water. It's just, I don't know, it's just not right. If you want a bridge, make sure it's going over a nice body of water. Now, here's my other little thing with a bridge, okay? Typically, with a bridge, you're going to go over a narrower area of your pond, right? Your pond might be 10, 12 feet wide over here, but where your bridge is, it's going to go down to 4 feet, okay? So your bridge can span over it, all right? What's on this side? Are we going back out to 12 feet, or are we just having a small area? All right. Think about the design, because sometimes those designs are not that attractive. I like a nice open body of water. Okay. Bridges tend to restrict things, and when we restrict that area so that we can't span a bridge over it, we may be reducing our water flow, okay, throughout the pond as well. So keep that in mind. All right, I have another video about what I call like bad pond designs and why, so you might want to check that video out as well, okay, because we talk about stuff like that and water flow and circulation around the pond. We don't want to restrict that. Okay, I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel, right? Hit that like button. Check out my website, www.pondscapesandmore.com, and check out all these videos I have here to offer for you guys, all right? Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you back again in another video. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.